Sofonisba Anguissola was a Renaissance portrait painter born in 1535 in Cremona, a city in Italy. She came from a wealthy family that consisted of her nobleman father, Amilcare Anguissola, her mother, who came from a noble family, Bianca Pozzone, and 6 younger sisters and a brother. Her father was a landowner who sold books, art supplies, leather, and silk. Unlike many men in this time period, he wanted his daughters to learn Latin, how to paint, and how to play the piano. In 1546, he later went on to send both Sofonisba and Elena to the household of Bernardino Campi, who they studied from for 3 years until 1549. Under the apprentice of Antonio Correggio, Sofonisba continued her study in 1551 with Bernardino Gaddi until 1553. She received encouragement from Michelangelo, and Gian Paolo Lamazzo praised her. In order to further his daughter's career, Amilcare sent her work to Pope Julius III and to Este Court in Ferrara. Unfortunately, most of the time, like other female painters then, her work was attributed to male painters such as Titian, Leonardo da Vinci, Giovanni Battista Moroni, Alonso Sanchez Coelho, Francisco Zurbaran, her teacher, Bernardino Campi, and even her father, who was not an artist. In her artwork, she liked to challenge the ideas people had about a woman's role in society. Her self-portraits were meant to be used as a type of business card that advertised her talents, education, and wealth while keeping her virtue and dignity. In 1555, she painted her greatest masterpiece, The Chess Game. The painting shows her 3 sisters, Lucia, Minerva, and Europa, playing chess, which was popular among nobles and all males. Women were thought to be unable to handle strategy and the logical thinking involved. With this painting, she subtly challenged the traditional gender roles in Italy's society.
She gets noticed and praised by painter Giorgio Vasari, in which he says, and I quote, "She has labored at the difficulties of design with greater study and better grace than any other woman of our time, and she has not only succeeded in drawing, coloring, and copying from nature, and in making excellent copies of works by other hands, but has also executed by herself alone some very choice and beautiful works of painting," which basically means she's pretty dope at painting. With all of this in mind, this leads to one of Sofonisba's biggest and greatest accomplishments in her lifetime, being invited to King Philip II's Spanish court in 1559, and there she becomes an official court painter for the court and a lady-in-waiting to Queen of Spain Elizabeth of Valois and her daughters, Infantas Carolina Michaela and Isabella Clara Eugenia. She gets to paint portraits of all the significant people in the Spanish court until 1573, which marks a 14-year residency. In these portraits, we can see a sense of personality, as well as an impressive depiction of humanistic forms. And now, in this painting of Infanta Carolina Michaela, we see beauty, confidence, and freedom. It still sticks to the regulations of court paintings at its time, but at the same time, we see an evolvement of Sofonisba's art style, and it is very comparable to her mom's portrait of the time, Queen Elizabeth of Spain. And yeah, so yeah, work it, girl. Yes, you look good. In Sofonisba's lifetime, she marries twice. One instance being to Sicilian nobleman Fabrizio Moncada in 1570. However, a few years later, he passes away, and she marries her ship captain around 1584 to Orazio Lomellino.
A woman artist producing a self-portrait meant reconciling the conflict between what society expected of women and what it expected of artists. Women artists wanted to show they were as good as painters past and present, but dared not risk looking boastful. Anguissola's Self-portraits offer evidence of what she thought her place was as a woman artist. In her self-portrait of 1556, she presents herself as the artist, separating herself from the role of the object to be painted. Campi was Anguissola's first painting teacher. Anguissola painted this in response to Salviati, who said Sofonisba was Campi's creation, nothing more than malleable material given form by his beautiful intellect. With this painting, Anguissola produced the first historical example of the woman artist consciously collapsing the subject-object position. She, not Campi, is responsible for the image we see. She made a conscious declaration of her progression from copying to imitating. Anguissola authoritatively refashioned her source, an engraving of Campi, in her taste and intent. This demanded invention, a hallmark of imitation. In comparison to what is presented as Campi's portrait of her, Anguissola's image of him is one of more alive than living. Anguissola is made the master of the art of drawing. She had surpassed anything Campi would achieve. This is a detail from a 1554 self-portrait in which the artist holds an open book. This was a sign of a cultivated education, or maybe instead be interpreted as a prayer book for the virtuous young woman. On the book, the words translate to Sofonisba Anguissola, a virgin, made this herself in 1554. Additional paintings show how she rebels against the notion that women are objects, in essence an instrument to be played by men. Her self-portrait of 1557 shows her playing a spinet, taking on a different role, thus conveying the idea of self-possession and self-management. Here you can see the progression of her self-portraits. The one on the left is from 1552, and she is dressed plainly, black, modest, and reserved. In the one on the right, from 1559, she is representing herself as a lady of rank, and not just as an artist. In this small portrait, the artist seems very concerned with her appearance, signaling a new stage of artistic self-appraisal or a new phase in her life in general. In her later self-portraits, what emerges is an awareness of self. Sofonisba is there with her seriousness, but also with the conviction of being a mature painter. And her wide-open eyes now have the depth and intensity of a settled inner life. She concentrates on the expressiveness of the gaze. Sofonisba continued painting portraits throughout her life, including self-portraits of her in advanced age. In 1620, she painted her last self-portrait at age 85. It probably was the last painting she attempted with her failing vision. By the early 1620s, Anguissola was in retirement. Sofonisba was the first woman painter to achieve fame and respect internationally. Anguissola's renown rests primarily on her pioneering position as the first professional Italian woman painter. Sofonisba Anguissola's greatest achievement was opening up painting to women as a socially acceptable profession.